Alright, boys, so the other day, someone named Base Leafeon, which shouts to you, shouts to him, he made a GALAND concept card for a new GALAND, which I really want a new GALAND, okay? You already know I love my boy GALAND. I'm completely maxed out, both of them. I really like GALAND, okay? I think he's super cool, like as a character, the way he showed up and the way he actually, like, he did everything, and then he was used as a plot device to make Escanor look all strong, right? Which is still, like, Escanor was only that cool because we knew how cool GALAND was, okay? So, Escanor's only cool because of GALAND, right? That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, so obviously we haven't had a GALAND since the red coin drop one released over almost a year and a half ago. In 2 weeks it'll be a year and a half ago, because I'm pretty sure he released with Derriere, because that's when we got the coin drop ones. As there was like one before, but like with Derriere we got like the proper ones, and they were the coin drop, and he was part of that batch. So, or he was like a month after, I don't know, but like around that time, so almost a year and a half ago, right? He released on JP at least, and you know, I really like GALAND. Again, we haven't had one in over a year and a half though. I think we could get a new one. The final boss one had a new one that we haven't like really seen yet. He had new cards which are really cool, but we don't have that GALAND yet, right? But we know final boss is like melee, the one of the first ones, melee, where we still don't have a unit of that type of counter that he had, unfortunately. So we'll have to wait until we get a new GALAND probably. Anyway, he sent me this concept. I want to talk about this concept because I think it's pretty cool. Also, it's a completely different video. I never do this type of stuff. But I think with GALAND, I think it's a good opportunity. I can actually talk about units. So, let's talk about him first. Now, let's talk about the fact that he's a different ultimate. So, he'd probably be a different GALAND, right? Because that's how it works. But we can't just take his base stats, his substats and base stats, because I'm going to assume that's what he based it off on, even though the new GALAND would probably have different stats. Probably better stats, okay? Probably more crit resistance. Hopefully, more resistance, more pierce rate, you know? Mom, if you're listening, I think his crit chance and crit damage are just fine. Maybe a little bit more, like 10% more crit chance, but that's fine. Anyway, let's get into the card. Now, he sent me this like individually. So let's talk about his single target card first before we get to his passive, because that's important, because I want to change something. Now, his single target card is super cool, okay? It's a really creative, I think. It's really cool. What it does is it inflicts clash damage. Clash damage ignores buffs and stances, and then he explained it even further. Means it ignores taunts completely. So if your taunt has like damage reduction, it'll ignore it. I don't think it means that he can escape taunt. Like if someone's taunting, he can just attack a different target. I don't think that's the case. I think that'd be broken, a little too broken. But if you attack into a taunt that has damage reduction, like Alioni or Esterosa and Chandler don't have it, or Tarmil, right, with his damage reduction, you'd ignore that damage reduction, as far as I'm concerned. That's how I'm like imagining it. And ignores damage reduction effects completely, including Tarmil's reduction. So yeah, even if you attack someone that isn't Tarmil, when he has a stance up, everyone else has damage reduction, you will still do full damage. That means Tarmil will take more damage too, which is really good. Doesn't trigger counters or damage reflection. Really good, of course. Bypasses shields but does not affect them, so you don't break the shield by attacking and then do your full damage, you just ignore them, right? Which I think is really cool. Again, ignore stat increases via buffs and stances, but can't ignore HP. Obviously that'd be a little weird, but like mainly like defense stuff or crit resistance, like defense related stats and damage reduction, right? Those are the ones you ignore, which I think instead of stat increase, he should have just done damage defense rated stats and damage reduction instead. Would have been just more clear. He wouldn't have to specify this. Anyway, it's 200% on a rank 1, which is pretty high, but then it goes 300, 500, which is good, right? It's sort of like the full ultimate gauge one. I don't know if it should do clash. I think it should do clash on rank 1 as well. Yeah, it should do clash on rank 1. I think this is fine. This card is fine. I think this is a super cool card. I actually want this card in the game. I don't think it's too broken. I just think it's a really good card. And then we have his passive. Now this is where there's an issue, for me at least. Ignores any increase we're gonna ignore that the A is missing, right? Because this genuinely looks so awesome, and I'm so happy he made that and he sent it to me. I'm genuinely like, I was actually so happy. Now I think this actually, like everything he did, like look like the base Leafeon actually so sick. Anyway, so his passive, his unique, is ignores any increase in the enemy stats for 4 turns at the start of battle. The thing is, if that's just for him, because that's it doesn't specify allies or anything, so it's just for him. His only attack card does like, ignores it already, and his ultimate removes buffs and stances. So there's no point for this. So I would just give him a different passive, right? Or changes a card to fill ultimate gauge and then have that passive, right? But I would rather just have the card because I really like this card, and then change the passive to something else. And I already did it in Photoshop. Boom, I opened it. And okay. And pretty much, I don't know what the passive would be. I think it would be like, you know how red mono does like more damage against debuff targets, 50%, and it's per debuff now. I think he could do like 50% more damage per buff on the enemy. So with 2 buffs, it would just be like Rupture, like on his card, and in 3 or 4 more buffs, he would obviously do even more, right? So I think that'd be good. So I would just do plus 50%. Oh. Send damage for each buff on the. Let me actually pull up one real quick. So let's do this in black. I don't think this is the exact font he used. It looks very similar though. On the enemy, oh, buff, and then actually just have this on this row as well. And then enemy. Bob. Right, let's do this. Let's do this. Right, so let's actually look at what hers is, what Mono's is actually like, how it's worded, because I want to copy it. He said heroes damage dealt by 50% when attacking damage for each. I'll just do buff, right? We'll just do buff. Dealt by 50% when attacking enemies for each buff. All right. We'll do like this, like light blue for this one, probably more light blue, and then we do the by 50%. We'll do an orange. I think that's what it usually is, right? Right. Anyway, well, like this is what I would do. Okay, I think this would be a better decision for his passive because I think it works well. Because he ignores them, right? Like he would just go through Margaret's damage reduction, let's say, but it's 2 buffs, right? It's damage reduction, damage increase, unless it's a rank 3, then you have the base stats too. But you have that, so he would do like double damage, right? But also ignore the damage reduction on that one. So I think that'd be really good. It'd be like sort of specific against like certain comps only, which makes it like less broken, right? It would be good against Ban teams too, although he is green, so not sure if I want to run him against Ban, but it would make him good. And trust me, like Mono, I've used her, she does a lot of damage, but like this doesn't make her broken. Like even if they have all 3, you do the 150, it doesn't make her like crazy, like so much stronger. Like the 150 damage dealt increase in Grand Cross is interesting because of the way it scales. It applies before everything and then gets reduced by everything again separately, so you do a lot less damage than you would think, but it's still a lot of damage regardless, right? It's still a huge damage up, but I'm just saying it's not like you don't actually just like triple your damage, right? Because there's all like resistance, crit defense, defense, potential damage reduction you have already, well, which he ignores, so only your actual stats would matter in this case. But still, I think this is fine. Maybe tune it down. I guess we can do 30%. I'm fine with that, but I think this would be a better passive. Now for his Taunt card, this is actually such a cool card. What it does, or what he came up with, is this little buff, this little target thing, which gives him center. Now let's read the card first. Taunt enemies increase attack related stats and defense rate stats by 20% for 1 turn, centers for 1 turn, right? Now what center does is, if an AoE attack occurs, only the hero takes damage. So only Galand would take damage. Includes ultimate moves, not sure about that one. I mean, I would love that. I don't think they would do that. I think that's a little too strong, especially on rank 1. So this one is cool because it means like let's say Margaret does an AoE, right? Then only Galand would take damage from the AoE. The rest would be protected. I don't know if he would take the other people's damage too. That'd be a little too much, I think, because then he'd just die. But it's really good. I think this card is really good, really creative. And then obviously the increasing his defense rate stats and everything is important. What I would do though is I would do 20% on a rank 1, and then no center, because that's a little too strong. And then on a rank 2 you do 2 turns, 30%, I guess. Doesn't even have to be more. and then we do sentence for 1 turn. And then on rank 3, I would do all this, right? But then do gains damage immunity too. Because why not, bro? You might as well, right? And your opponent is me. So sick. That's actually so cool. Like, this card, like, whole concept design is so cool, right? It's so cool. I like this. And nice shot. That's the final boss ultimate, and it's just cancels buffs and stands on all enemies. Works really well with his thingy, and he gets amplify, right? Damage dealt plus 30% per active buff on self, which is really cool. So I think and then he has the same commandment. Yeah, so it would actually be the same Galand. I don't know how they would do it, like the same ultimate. If we increase his defense rate stats by 50%, right? If it's additive, then he'd still only have 90% resistance, and he'd only have 88% defense rate stats. Units nowadays have both of those, but as base. So I think that'd be a good way to just buff him. And attack rate stats by 50 would be really sick, just because that would give him more crit chance and everything. He'd do a lot of damage for sure. So I think I'd focus on the, I think keep the attack related 20, then 30, but then increase the defense to 50%. Like keep the defense the same, but attack I wouldn't raise by 50. I think even if it's a rank 3, like outside of Margaret, there's no buff that's that strong, right? So I would just keep it 30 maybe, and he would still have a lot of crit chance, a lot of crit damage, a lot of attack. Pierce rate would be fixed at that point, and yeah, it just all be happy days and nice, right? So anyway, this is the Galand. I just want to make a concept video on this because I said mind if I make a video? He said, be my guest. I'm glad you like it. Super sick, right? I think this is super cool. We might make this a thing that's more frequent. If you have any ideas, you can send me this. You don't have to do it like. If you can't make it as pretty as him, that's so understandable. If you just do it in text form, that's fine too. For like units you want to see concepts for, right? And then maybe I'll make a video on it every now and then if I see one that I really like, right? Obviously I really like this one because it's Galand, and it genuinely just, it looks really pretty. Presentation is great. I like the card effects. They're new, they're unique, they're actually good for the meta. They're not too broken, they have longevity. I really like it. But that's it, boys. I hope you guys enjoyed. That's it from me. Good job.